We thought we were going to create a tent, and then we created a temple instead.
My work, I would say the majority of it is informed by color, and I would say in fact the rainbow is like the ultimate example of how we live in a supernatural world, that appears but is untouchable.
So now the animals from the textiles, the embroidery techniques that were used in ancient Tenango have become part of a new contemporary painting. So I'm using elements from ancient textiles and elements from contemporary painting and mixing them together in a new body of work for this show specifically. So we wanted to create a space where people could come and work on a collaborative project, or come and have sort of a sacred space to rest or just feel good in a really hard time. And we came up with this idea to use yarn because we both use yarn in our work. We'll have to do it the next time.
Yeah, this is the most streamlined, purest form of us collaborating, I think.
Yeah.
It was almost like we're full of so many layers, so many ideas, so many textures, and to sort of like strip it down to a simple form.
To the bare necessities.
Yes, and doing it together and taking the time to do it and getting to know each other while we're doing it.
Literally passing the yarn to each other 400 times.
Yeah.
It's pretty
bonding
exciting too,
experience.
with a lot of help
from Dusty.
Ruiz.
My daughter.
Would Dusty like to be in the...
Dusty, would you like to come join the video?
Aww. Just say hi.
You can say you helped with the tent.
Yes, big helper.
Big helper right
Big
here.
helper. If the childlike themes just became more and more apparent, because I'm sort of pulling in that nostalgia from my own childhood and then trying to feed my children's childhood in a way that the world just seems to be getting more and more complicated. And there's this sort of like simplicity and pureness of the spectrum, and just wanting my children to realize that the most important things are the simplest things. Yeah, and sort of using the work to process a lot of negative energy and like almost transmutate it into something positive, and being mindful of the energy you put into the world. And sharing in like the last 10 years, like as a stay-at-home mom, but like feeding my soul by still making things and sharing them, and then finding that it resonated with others, was validating in a way that I didn't know I didn't need it, but once I got it was really comforting. And how the spectrum is constantly attractive to me over and over, and I think it's because of this order, and because, you know, blue and red flank purple because they make purple, like all of these ways they relate. The motivation for me is to create the most fantastical world that I want to live in, and then I've gotten really lucky that others want to live in it too.
When I first started painting people under blankets, I was called to paint people under Mexican blankets and under Latino textiles, and that's what drew me to the Otomi textiles. I did a residency in Oaxaca where I learned traditional weaving and dye techniques on the backstrap loom, and from there I created weavings, and then those weavings sort of took on a life of their own and they became sculptures. So then I became more interested in all different types of fiber art, from embroidery, crochet, knitting, weaving. Also created a few textile pieces that are weavings made of puff balls and traditional weaving techniques with frames and including embroidery and sculpture with fiber as well.